A music mogul who once reveled in opulence aboard a $117 million yacht now finds himself confined to the cramped, stifling quarters of a tiny cell in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center.
It's now been 1 week since the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy is now at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, a place that's been described as hell on earth. Fox 6's Lisa Evers is at NBC right now on Diddy's life behind bars. Lisa, what are you finding out tonight?
Well, Natasha and Steve, for the first time in his life, Sean Diddy Combs has spent a week behind bars. He's here inside MDC, where he's been since his arrest on Monday night on federal sex and other charges, to all of which he's pleaded not guilty. There's no VIP section, there is no concierge, only conmen, killers, and kingpins.
Here's the shocker. Diddy, a name once synonymous with luxury and grandeur, now faces accusations far beyond his infamous meltdown. Fellow inmates allege he unleashed a violent outburst, even going so far as to attack prison guards.
John Doe says this happened back in 2006 when he was employed by a security firm, Mass Security, where he provided security services for nightclubs and private events. In August of that year, plaintiff accepted a last-minute job at Combs' East Hampton property, which he believed was hosting an exclusive white party for a large, affluent crowd. Plaintiff noted that the guests arrived in luxury vehicles, and many appeared to be executives. John Doe says right when he got to the party, Diddy himself greeted John Doe. Apparently, Diddy liked to meet with all the staff and the security members at his parties. Now, according to John Doe, things started off completely normal with Diddy. They chatted, and Diddy was friendly. He even offered John Doe another future security job right on the spot. But John Doe turned that one down at the time because his father was severely ill. And to that, Diddy appeared sympathetic and understanding. So things started off normally, and John Doe seemed friendly with Diddy. But as the evening progressed, Combs allegedly targeted plaintiff and provided him with 2 alcoholic drinks throughout the night. After consuming the second drink, plaintiff, that's John Doe, began to feel extremely ill and leaned against his truck for support. Based on information and belief, Combs, by himself or through his agents or employees, previously laced the drink with drugs, including, but not limited to, GHB and/or ecstasy. This behavior towards plaintiff mimics a pattern of Combs and his agents/employees drugging unsuspecting victims in order to make it easier for Combs to sexually assault the person.
Prison is more than just a place of confinement. It's a world of secrets, alliances, and at times, shocking revelations. So, what drove one of hip-hop's most influential figures to reach this breaking point? And why are inmates stepping forward with these claims now?
I believe the reports, and obviously Diddy is someone who's rich and famous and has lived a life of luxury for many years, and now he's in federal prison during the holidays. So this isn't someone who's a hardened criminal who has spent a lot of time in custody. So the fact that he's spending Christmas and New Year's and future holidays in prison is probably finally getting to him, so I'm not surprised that he cracked.
You're right. It's definitely a change of tune from his lavish mansions and the holiday season to what he's experiencing right now. As far as the mental health side of things, I remember when Diddy was first arrested, he was put on watch. So obviously keeping tabs on his mental health. Here in this instance, he apparently was asking for the guards to take him to the hospital so he could be treated there. Is this something that we're going to keep an eye on, Diddy's mental health behind bars?
I think so, and obviously, we haven't seen him, but your colleague Elizabeth has reported that, he looks like he's lost some weight, and he has some more gray and white hairs. I think it's taken a toll on him, and I think that he expected, for some reason, that he would be out on bond, and obviously that hasn't happened. There were 3 different bail applications that were denied by 3 different judges, and ultimately they withdrew their appeal. So now that it's hitting him that Diddy's going to be in custody at least until May 2025, I think he's just having a tough time coming to terms with it. Because like you said, here's someone that had multiple private jets, homes in New York, Miami, Los Angeles, and all of a sudden his only home is his prison cell, and he's not getting the Christmas dinner with his family that he had. And we all saw the video of him having to spend his birthday in prison as well.
It's almost impossible to picture Diddy, the man who once sipped Ace of Spades champagne beneath Caribbean stars, now reduced to eating bland prison meals in a cell with barely any air circulation. Yet this is his stark reality. Even a $600 million fortune and a formidable legal team couldn't shield him from federal charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. Gone are the days of Miami mansion parties. Now, he's confined to the grim walls of the Metropolitan Detention Center.
He wants to go on a kosher diet. It's prepared a little bit differently. It's a religious diet. That could be another aspect as well. But I remember when I first went into custody at MDC Los Angeles, and I didn't eat for a couple days, but this guy's been there about a week now, so he should be in a routine. And there's just so much, Ashley, there is so much disinformation that comes out. Like he has to get up at 6 o'clock to make his bed and mop his cell. That's for a regular housing unit at MDC. He's not getting out of the shoe. He doesn't have to make his bed, really. He's probably laying in bed all day long, just stewing and thinking. So the situation and the conditions for him are completely different than it would be for a regular inmate.
Sources within the MDC describe the prison as a living nightmare. The harsh fluorescent lights never flicker, the air feels suffocating, and every movement is closely monitored. One inmate compared the experience to being buried alive. For Diddy, who was once accustomed to luxury and control, this isn't just a fall from grace. It's a form of psychological torment.
Diddy Combs is being closely monitored in jail as he awaits trial in his sex trafficking case. The hip-hop mogul is said to be under watch for his own safety at the Metropolitan Detention Center in New York City, with a source familiar with the situation telling NBC News that it's, quote, procedural for high-profile inmates. The source added that Diddy, quote, remains strong and focused on his defense. Despite being denied bail twice, the artist and entrepreneur's legal team is reportedly considering another appeal to have him freed before his trial begins at an as-yet undetermined date. The Brooklyn facility where Diddy is currently being held has been described as hell on earth, with one federal judge calling it dangerous and barbaric. Diddy's lawyer has said he is in a special housing unit away from the general population, but retired warden Cameron Lindsay, who worked at the MDC from 2007 to 2009, shared with Access Hollywood why the conditions are still a far cry from any country club prison lifestyle, even with added security.
You'll be afforded 3 hots and a cot, as they say, 3 meals, 3 showers per week, very austere conditions. And anytime there's movement in the special housing unit, it's controlled. Inmates are restrained, leg irons.
Reports surfaced of Diddy pleading with guards to transfer him to the prison hospital, insisting he was on the brink of a breakdown. Picture this: a man who once commanded entire industries, now reduced to desperate pleas. According to sources, the guards refused to leave him alone, but his team later denied these allegations. Insiders, however, paint a striking portrait of a man grappling with the harsh reality of his new life.
This real? Actually, at first I thought, no, somebody made that up, but I could actually see Sean Combs angry he's not the king of the cell block anymore.
I mean, this is the crossover event of the century at the MDC. You have Diddy and Luigi Mangione locked up together. Our sources say that they haven't quite met yet, though they do share a legal team, but that Diddy is absolutely furious that he's been throwing tantrums. And if anything, this just goes to show his inflated ego and how he feels, you know, he has the name Love, that he should be loved and adored. Meanwhile, Luigi allegedly shot someone in cold blood on camera. So to Diddy, he doesn't get it. He's saying, you know, I am innocent, yet you have this guy allegedly on camera killing somebody. How is he being revered as a hero? And Diddy's.
The alleged incident with the guards reportedly took place during a holiday meltdown. Inmates say Diddy, already simmering with frustration, erupted when his requests were dismissed. Some even claim he physically attacked one of the guards in a fit of rage. MDC officials, however, neither confirmed nor denied the allegations.
That's the word I'm hearing also, but I have to tell you, Nancy, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted with this whole thing. Boo-hoo-hoo. This dirty Diddy hot dog on a bun in a jail cell, that's a lot more food than victims and survivors we work with get served on a daily basis. And as far as Luigi, another distraction because I live right down the street from where that horrible event took place. And you know what? An hour later, people were just walking over the spot in New York City. And this is what we're talking about and celebrating. How about the focus I ultimately believe this Diddy case will come down to? It's going to be very tough. Children, minors, were they brought over state lines, sex trafficking? So that's where I think everybody should be going in and really trying to find victims' voices and hear their stories. I realize everybody's coming out of the woodwork right now, but a little too late. However, I think that's the angle. Why? Why did everybody wait decades? What can you imagine if one of these women came forward very quietly and tried? Now they did. There were a couple of cases. They did say they tried. Nobody would listen to them. Why? Why can't we switch that up and go in and find kids? Because so many have told me over the decades about dirty Diddy and still nobody did anything about it.
But the story doesn't end there. With 1,600 high-profile prisoners like Diddy, it's not just about being an inmate. It's about being a target from the moment he stepped into the facility. Diddy wasn't only under the watchful eyes of guards. Fellow inmates too seemed eager to exploit his weaknesses. Things take a darker turn when allegations emerge that some inmates intentionally provoked him, fully aware that his reactions could spark violent confrontations.
Disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, once known for his lavish lifestyle and living large in his multi-million-dollar mansions, has a new home as he awaits trial in his federal sex case. Last week, the Bad Boy Founder's defense team unsuccessfully fought to keep the music producer out of federal jail after his arrest. Now his new digs once house other high-profile inmates, including R. Kelly, Fetty Wap, Sam Bankman-Fried, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Diddy is currently housed at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, a stark difference from the glitz, glamour, and wealth in Hollywood and Star Island in Miami Beach, Florida. But MDC Brooklyn has been described as hell on earth, with horrifying conditions. The facility, which now houses Diddy, opened in the early 90s and is the only federal jail in New York City after the Bureau of Prisons closed its Metropolitan Correctional Center in 2021 after many issues came to light in the wake of Jeffrey Epstein's suit just 2 years earlier. MDC Brooklyn, which houses about 1,200 detainees with conditions reportedly so terrible some judges have refused to send people there, is mainly used for post-arrest detention for people awaiting trial in federal courts in Manhattan or Brooklyn. According to the Associated Press, detainees have complained about rampant violence, severe staffing shortages, and widespread contraband smuggling, some of which is even facilitated by employees. This past June, a detainee was stabbed to death at the jail. In July, another inmate died after he was hurt in a brawl, and at least 4 people have died by in the last 3 years. Diddy's attorney argued in legal paperwork MDC Brooklyn is not fit for pretrial detention, citing detainee deaths and other concerns.
Another source revealed that Diddy's isolation, intended for his protection, only intensified his frustration. While protective custody keeps him safe from physical harm, it also isolates him from the limited sense of community the prison has to offer.
It's incredibly difficult. When people go to prison, they want to lay low, get off the grid, but when you're so high profile and a celebrity, and we dissect every move that happens, it's very hard. And it's only amplified during the holiday season, which is a time of togetherness, spending time with family, forgiveness. Instead, he's isolated in this community, probably feeling a great deal of regret and pain. His family is enduring regret and pain. So it's always hard to be in prison, but it is heightened during the holiday season.
Sure. And with that being, with it being the holiday time, we're seeing things for inmates to do on the holiday, being card games, basketball, soccer. But is this really a bright and shiny picture of how it really is behind bars?
They'll do a few things. The prison will do a handful of things during the holiday season to remind you that it's the holiday season, maybe some hot chocolate or a cookie or some donuts and candy, but you're in this sterile kind of hopeless environment. So despite a few things they do, it doesn't overcome or undo the pain that people feel while being in prison, just the psychological impact of being in prison. And then during the holiday season, separated from your family, it's devastating. And with Diddy, he's not enjoying the basketball, as I understand it, the backhand or the cards, he's enduring time in isolation because of the high profile nature of his case. So if anything, it's harder for him. And I presume we may not hear this from his lawyers who maintain his innocence. I presume he's feeling some regret and probably wishing he could have done some things differently. But as we know in life, do-overs don't exist.
Compounding the tension are the devastating allegations against Diddy. The charges he faces are not only career-ruining but life-altering. Accusations of abuse and exploitation, with victims coming forward to describe disturbing events at so-called freak-offs. These revelations paint a portrait of a man whose private life was as controversial as his controversial public image. Weather. The drama extends beyond the jail walls, as Diddy is now confronted with a growing stack of legal challenges. More than a dozen civil lawsuits have been filed against him, with many accusing him of sexual assault and abuse at his notorious parties.
The phrase bad boy for life has started to take on a whole new meaning for the now embattled hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The images of Diddy's Los Angeles and Miami homes being raided by federal agents sent the industry into a tailspin. And despite the jaw-dropping lawsuits filed against him by his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura and a former producer for him, Rodney Jones Jr., aka Lil Rod, it's not the first time Diddy Love, aka P. Diddy, aka Puff Daddy, aka Puffy, has had a brush with the law. Up hasn't stopped the tidal wave of lawsuits accusing the embattled mogul of sexual assault. Since his September arrest, the Bad Boy Records founder has been slapped with around 24 civil lawsuits, 20 of which have been filed by Texas-based attorney Tony Busby. When Busby first made the stunning announcement, he proudly shared his firm vetted more than 100 people, each with allegations against the mogul. But in a new interview, he's revealing that number is likely tripled. Busby spoke with the BBC and said his team has received more than 3,000 calls since he held his news conference back in October. He told the British outlet Combs could face around 300 legal cases. Busby said an equal number of women and men came forward to accuse the producer of sexual misconduct. And like many of the lawsuits Combs already faces, Busby said the accusations his firm is looking into spanned over the last 20 years. The Texas attorney has issued 20 lawsuits from men and women, including minors at the time of the alleged sexual assault. And while he threw out that large number of 300, he realistically said the final number of lawsuits could still total around 100 to 150, meaning we could see more than 100 new cases being filed.